vertex form of a quadratic function. We're starting this unit on quadratics by looking at the first form that we put quadratics in, and that is the vertex form. The vertex form is what you saw when we transformed the parent function of a quadratic in our transformations and translations unit. Let's go ahead and start by looking at what the vertex form looks like. The vertex form is written as y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. The h and the k give us a special point. The h is the x point in the vertex, and the k is the y point in the vertex. And if you remember the vertex of a quadratic, when I draw the parabola, the vertex is that point, let me get a different color, is that point at the very bottom, or if the quadratic opens down, it's that point at the very top of it. Okay, we would call this a maximum and this a minimum. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. Alright, so the h and the k, those give us the vertex. So the vertex is the x coordinate is h and the y coordinate is k. Alright, now a line of symmetry, we also call that the axis of symmetry. So you may see that somewhere. Is basically just a vertical line that goes through the vertex. And if you remember, vertical lines have the special equation x equals. It'll be the same as the x coordinate from the vertex, so that is h. So x is going to equal h. Alright, now let's talk about a, that number that's out in front of the parentheses. That number, a, if it's greater than 0, which means it's positive, the graph is going to open up. And that means a is positive. If a is less than 0, or it's negative, then the graph is going to open down. Now, as I saw, when the graph opens down, the vertex is a max. Okay? If the graph opens up, the vertex is a min, or a minimum. Alright? And we're going to use those in just a moment. Alright, let's look at the first example in our notes. It says to complete the following information about each function. And our first function is y equals negative x minus 5 squared minus 2. Now the first thing let's talk about is the vertex. The vertex, remember, is hk. The h is where the 5's at, and the k is where the 2's at. It's actually negative 2. So the h, remember, we look at it as the opposite of what I see here. So this says negative 5, so it's actually positive 5, if you'll remember that from our transformations. And the k is that number that's added onto the end, on the outside, and that's 2. So our vertex is 5, negative 2. Now, if you'll notice that the a is negative. The number outside of the parentheses is negative. There's no number there, so we just assume it's a 1, and it's got that minus, so it's negative 1. Alright, so since it's negative, it means it's less than 0, so that means that it opens down, the graph opens down, so therefore the vertex would be at the top, so the vertex would be a max. Okay, and that means it opens down. Okay, the line of symmetry, remember, is x equals, and whatever that h was, it's 5. Okay, and now we'll use this information all to graph it. So let's draw our line of symmetry. It's at x equals 5. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's going to be a vertical line. And we're going to draw it as a dashed line, same way we drew asymptotes. Alright, so that's our line of symmetry, and I'm going to put arrows at the end since it's a line. And then our vertex is at 5, -2. So there's our vertex. Now our graph is going to open down, and it'll just look like this going down. Now this isn't an exact graph. The vertex is exact, and it does point down. It's not an exact graph, it's just a rough graph on this. Okay? Alright, hopefully that made sense to you. What I want you to do is I want you to work through example 2 on your own. So when I say pause the video and then work it out, and when you get finished, go ahead and turn the video back on and check how you did. Alright, go ahead and pause. Okay, so now that you've had some time to work this out, check it, go ahead and check through the answers. The vertex, -2, -3. Now that's the vertex is -2 because remember you do the opposite of what's in there. So the x is -2, and then -3 you do what's on the outside, you do exactly there. Since a is positive, then the graph is going to open up, which means your vertex is at the bottom, so your vertex is a minimum point. The line of symmetry is x equals -2. And then you look at the graph. Notice this graph's a little narrower because of the 2 being our a value that squeezes the graph together. Alright? If there were any questions in this video that you didn't quite understand, go ahead and rewind and watch over, and make sure you complete the whisk, and we'll see you in class for some practice. Have a nice day.